Hey guys, welcome. This is Brad Krantz. Thanks for joining me today for my Monday morning leadership. And today we're talking about Bitcoin gains adoption and momentum. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that means. This is a relatively new topic for me. Since earlier this year, I got into the cryptocurrency market. As my LinkedIn profile notes, this is kind of why I'm talking about this, is that I discuss leadership topics and other related news. Well, this is kind of both aspects. I'm going to talk a little bit about the leadership aspect of this and other related news as it relates to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, more Bitcoin in particular. But I'm going to stop and just talk about leadership as influence, right? One of my favorite sayings by John Maxwell, leaders influence. I always take that in the positive sense. I'm hopefully will positively influence you if you're skeptical or don't know anything about this. Hopefully dig in, understand it, do some research so that you can gain an understanding of what it is. And then leaders lead by example. I got into this market after doing my homework, after doing my research, said this is a viable market. I need to get involved in it. Again, none of this is intended as financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor, but I got into the crypto market here a few months ago. And I've got less than 1% of my portfolio in there right now. But again, I can lead by example, and that this isn't something theory or speculation, but I'm actually involved in doing it. So I believe as a leader, lead by example. I want to talk a little bit about my experience and share that with you. I think first point, a little bit about maybe the Bitcoin market and why this is big news, pro or con. Okay. A new study estimates that 46 million people, roughly, Americans now own at least a share of Bitcoin, or about 17% of the adult population. So those over 18. What's more, a high percentage of those people are open to adding cryptocurrency to their personal financial plans, which again includes me because I started doing that this year. Second part, I just want to talk a little bit about knowledge and understanding, doing your own research, because that's really, I think, when we make decisions. I could talk medically, but especially financially. We work with a certified financial planner who have talked about this. He's not against it, but he's a fiduciary, so he can't really recommend it. But I started there first. I want to find out about it. But I started getting my own knowledge. I started listening, reading a lot about it. And that's the first part, is get knowledge. Don't jump into something that you don't know. You probably shouldn't or wouldn't, but gain knowledge about it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that more in depth as I come up here. But one of the guys we're going to talk about, Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, he says to put in 100 hours of study. And I've heard and other times say, hey, in 10 hours, you can get to understand this. In 20 hours, you can probably get to be an expert. But I'm probably well on my way toward hitting 100 hours of study. So I want to ask a question about this first is, do rising inflation, the printing of money, and rising levels of Bitcoin ownership have anything to do with one another? Well, my conclusion is yes, they do. And that's one of the reasons that I put some money into the crypto market, or the Bitcoin ecosystem, whatever you might want to call it. And here's why. I'm going to share this here real quick. And part of this has to do with inflation. As I noted in a previous video that I did, according to a recent Wall Street Journal article, since February of 2020, last year, the money supply has increased 26%. Okay, that's more than 25%, the largest one-year jump since 1943. And it's been said, I think it's accurately stated, that our money supply is increasing at around 15% a year currently. So here, what does that mean? Well, if you can look at this chart, that goes back to the start of the Fed, which is actually not a federal organization, it's a private corporation. In 1913, $1 is worth, or $100 is worth $100. As of 2019, it's down to about, I believe, $3.86. Probably with the increase in the money supply, it's worth even that. So our dollar has eroded its purchasing power. That is what inflation is, guys. When the money supply is inflated, the value of the dollar decreases. We have fiat currency. It's not backed by gold. I'll get into that maybe a little bit more coming up. But a lot of people, myself included, are viewing this crypto market, and Bitcoin in particular, as a hedge against inflation. Because face it, if you've got a passbook savings account, you're probably lucky to get maybe 1-2% interest, probably not that much. Jumbo savings account with 100,000, maybe 4%. So if inflation will just be running at 4%, you're breaking even on that, right? If you're passbook savings account, you're actually losing money. And companies realize they're losing money. Their cost of capital was much greater than that. But if it's inflating at 15% a year, and it could for the foreseeable next few years, in 6 years, you've lost 100% of your capital's value. And so you have to be aware of what's happening with the inflation and the deflating in the value of your dollar, which was a motivator to me. So, 46 million Americans now own Bitcoin as inflation rises to the highest level in 13 years. Again, money supply being printed, guys, not CPI, not price inflation. And, also banks are under threat because of blockchain technology. And this trend could take place due to artificial intelligence. And banking can certainly occur in the future without banks or bankers. And that's really interesting. Right now, if companies want to do business overseas, and a lot of companies, let's say Nigeria and Africa, they don't really trust the banks, or they can't really do business because the banking system is so much different. But with decentralized finance, with artificial intelligence, with the blockchain technology, that's probably going to be able to happen in the future. And I think this is a trend to keep in mind with the move into Bitcoin and digital assets, especially by institutional investors in the coming months and years. So this is something I've been very much paying attention to. It's piqued my interest. I said, hey, I've got to do something. And I think this is really a great solution. So I think it's entirely likely too that we will see a digital monetary system that can establish international trust. So globally, right? Point two is, who are some of the major players and advocates? Okay, I mean, so who's involved in this? And that's always intrigued me. So, if people who are successful with business backgrounds that are doing something, I should probably pay attention to it. And it blew me away. Again, we've talked about Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy. I believe they started buying Bitcoin back in August of last year, and then bought another really big chunk in November. They've financed about another $2 billion worth. So he's got over $5 billion of Bitcoin. Now, this is a CEO of a publicly traded company. So he had to go through a whole process with his executives, the board, his investors, regulatory agencies, all that, but they bought over $5 billion. So now, why did they do that? Okay, I'm going to circle back and cover that. Then we got Elon Musk of Tesla, right? His company bought 1.5 billion of Bitcoin. Now he sold some off. There's kind of some arms or hands going up in the market. Why do you do that? Look, he's influencing the price. And these guys are leaders too, guys. These are business leaders. Elon Musk tweets about something and their stock price goes up or down, or Bitcoin goes up or down. So he's got a lot of sway. Then you got the billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, well-known. You got Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling New York Times author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He is into Bitcoin and some other coins too. And then you've got Kevin O'Leary from, the Shark Tank. All these guys, successful business owners, billionaires or multi-millionaires buying it. Interestingly too, this isn't always on everybody's radar, but Harvard, Brown, and Yale, the endowments that they hold, have been buying Bitcoin over the last year. You've got Mass Mutual, big insurance company, the Marathon Digital Holdings, which I own some stock in. It's a digital asset technology company that mines cryptocurrencies. They've bought significant amounts of Bitcoin and holding them in their treasury. So we're seeing many successful millionaires, billionaires, and major institutions adopt Bitcoin for their treasury. And so I think, as a rational person, you've got to ask why. Okay. And I'm going, hey, this isn't just a passing fad or something, funky. It's in the dark web and all that. There's a lot of misnomers going out there about it. So look at who's involved and why they're involved. This is a huge industry. Blockchain technology. I've sat in on, I think, 4 different live webinars dealing with the whole technology as a whole and some of the specific players and companies involved. Pretty amazing. So I'm going to talk about point 3, my why elevator points, and I'm going to bring up a one from, let's see here, guy that I follow too, Rob, on Digital Asset Network. But I think these are some great points. If somebody asks me, hey, Brad, why are you involved? Why are you a proponent of Bitcoin? Because I wasn't last year, and I was because I didn't understand it. But a lot of people are considering Bitcoin as digital gold, or gold 2.0. And here's a big point that shouldn't be missed. It's scarce. There's only 21 million that will ever be minted. Okay, and there are about 18 million right now. So at 21 million, there's no more Bitcoin being minted. Okay, it's a digital minting, not an actual minting. That's going to make the value go up because it is a scarce, and it's called market insurance, right? If you have a scarce asset that you can't get more of, the value of it, if people desire it and want to buy it, which we're seeing happening, value is going to go up. And unlike gold, again, you can send it to anyone within minutes for next to nothing. And I'm not going to get into all the fees. I think those are going to be going down, but you can't send a bunch of gold to somebody across the country or around the world. It's just not going to happen. It's physically very cumbersome, but you can send Bitcoin. Even if you had $1 billion of Bitcoin, I could send to somebody in Africa or in Europe and within minutes. Okay. And then this is something Michael Saylor has said, and I really believe this to be true. It is the best performing asset class ever. Think about that. It's only been up since 2009, and in what, 12 years now, it's been running at about a 200% rate, which nothing else is doing that, guys. It's better than gold, oil, or stock ever, guys. That's a major point when you think about that. When you understand the market, when it can comprehend it, I think that's huge. And it used to be worth 5 cents at one point. I don't know exactly when that was, but it's worth, as of this meme here, it's now worth 10K. It's running at about $55,000, $60,000 now, guys, from 5 cents. What if you would have bought 50 or 100 of those at 5 cents? And that's why he's heavily invested. I'm moderately invested, but that's some of the reasons why I'm involved, and they make sense to me. I think it's a good move. Again, this isn't financial advice, but just some final thoughts to close out on this. You know, to reiterate what I've said, educate yourself. Research is about educating how the world is going to change. And guys, it's going to change in the next 10 years. Banking, digital currencies, they're going to be part of that change that's taking place. Bitcoin is an asset class now. It is the asset of the 21st century, and it's considered, and I believe, a strong store of value. And it is the solution to the economic problem that we're facing. So think of Bitcoin as a long-term savings account, okay? Buy it to hold it, hodl it is what we call it. And we're seeing more institutional adoption as investors are buying to hold it, just like they bought gold in the past. I think this surpasses gold in many, many ways. And Bitcoin, again, is a more mature asset than it was 10 years ago, and it's going to only get better. And many other what's called altcoins too. So hope this was helpful, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please reach out to me with any comments or questions you have. Thanks for watching or catching this on the replay, and have an awesome Monday. Bye-bye.